Who would you like to ask about today?
I think I want to ask about our parakeet spirit.
Okay, do you have a question about spirit?
Well, she kind of went through a situation where the cat jumped up on her cage that's hanging from the ceiling, and the cage broke, and she got out, and all the dogs went after her, and she lost her tail feathers. And right away, I picked her up, put her in my shirt, and kind of did some healing on her. And, we tried to get her back in the cage. She escaped again, but there was, no dogs in here or anything. I had gotten them all out of the way. And we ended up, I held her for a little bit longer, and we got her back in the cage. And I put a shirt over her cage and did some more healing like you had suggested. She seems to be okay, but I guess just, wondering how she's feeling and if the healing, helped her out at all.
Yes, very much so. She said, I'm all right. As soon as you started asking about her, I'm all right because I know you love me. There's a great deal of love in your home. And so no animal in your home, is terrified. She said, yes, it was a kerfuffle. She wasn't even completely terrified while it was happening, actually. She said, I managed to get away from them. She's kind of amused, like her own perception of the situation. Who chased her again?
Well, it was Onyx. He jumped on the cage. The cat,
Yeah,
really
Onyx.
high.
Yeah, Onyx, and
then when the cage fell, like 4 dogs went after her.
Yeah, well, she seems actually to be quite philosophical about it. That's the first thing I really get, that she says, that was a kerfuffle. She seems to feel like she wasn't in any real danger. But I did lose some feathers. I lost my poor tail went.
Yep.
It's like I see where the tail feathers were, and then there's no feathers. And the healing that you gave her after she was, nearly devoured by your other pets, she's more than being traumatized. Rather than being traumatized, it seems to have strengthened her feeling that she's actually safe with you. And she's also picking up very strongly on the fact that you kind of learned a lesson about that, and you're going to be more careful that it can't happen again.
Yeah, I kind of moved things further away. I didn't think, he hadn't done it in a while, and every time he went up to do it, I took care of it, and, I hadn't done it in a while. But I was sleeping at the time, and it was like 5 o'clock in the morning, and Eli was awake. And I've slept out here with the cats many times, and they always sleep, and they're always fine. So I don't know what it was that caused it, but, maybe she made a certain noise or something that he wanted.
Onyx had actually been thinking about catching her for quite some time. And if you get this real bark flower essence of cherry plum, you can treat Onyx with the cherry plum essence so that he can learn to cease and desist from his evil intention to catch spirits. It's a natural instinct, but yeah, he'd actually been planning it for some time. He was actually there many times. Onyx says, many times I looked at the cage and I was figuring out how to get her out of the cage.
Well, yeah, the very first night we brought her, he got on the cage, but it didn't break. I was able to get him off. And I think he did it one more time where he tried it, but then he hadn't done it in a while, and he'd slept out here just fine. So it was like a sneaky thing that he did, and he did it when I was sleeping. Eli was awake, and Eli wasn't paying attention. But usually now I've moved the table over, and I've moved the, he would get on top of the stereo and jump. I moved the stereo over as far as I can move it, and now he doesn't even look, like if he looks at her, I say, don't even look at her. and he will, you know, he won't look at her. He'll run away. If he gets over to that spot, he jumps immediately down or goes somewhere else.
Yes, he's got no launching pad now. Is Onyx an indoor cat?
Yeah, but he used to be an outdoor cat. He used to be indoor and outdoor, and I won't let him go outdoors, but he used to be both.
Yeah, so there's a problem with cats because their hunting instinct is usually very highly developed. But yeah,
Magic, I haven't had to worry. You know, the other cat, she just knows not. She's more harmonious with all the little animals that we have.
Well, she's what you call a calico and a she cat. I've always found that those, for some reason, calico cats, in England, they're always female. I don't know that that's always so here, but and it's called a tortoiseshell there. But you know, I found them to be the most gentle cats. I've never met a cat with those markings that I would call tortoiseshell that wasn't extremely gentle. She's more domesticated and not. She's more of a maternal personality than a hunting personality. But with Onyx, you've got the strength. I have a she cat that's more like Onyx. It's like living in a small house with a medium-sized jaguar. You know, she's so pleased to have been rescued from being a feral for the first 3 years of her life, or, you know, effectively a feral living outside, trying to survive. But, you know, she flies around the house sort of trilling like a bird. But she has calmed down quite a lot. She's getting the idea of communicating with a human and understanding what I like and I don't like. But the funniest thing is I have a mouse in a cage, in a tank, and, you know, she was the great hunter out there, so it's very hard for her to get that this is, you know, I say, every time she tries to catch a mouse, I say, this is my mouse, it's not your mouse. And she's getting it to a degree. But anyway, back to Spirit. The relationship with Spirit is funny, because she also feels very connected to you and very connected to Eli. She knows what she's doing in your life. She knows you have a special relationship. And she said, yes, I was worried for a moment there, but I know you're in control and I trust you. So she's actually, she doesn't seem to have lasting trauma because, you know, what she got from the event was that, you know, if anything happens, you step in and rescue her and it's all okay.
Oh, I never jumped up so fast in my life out of sleep. It was like all hell broke loose, and I somehow ended up over there with her. I don't even know how I got there, honestly. You know, so I definitely felt she was protected during that time because that 4 dogs going after her, and I don't even think she flew. You know, and I know she bit Eli. She didn't mean to. She was just being protective, and she bit me when I first picked her up. But it was like I remembered to put her someplace dark, like in my shirt, from this hawk that I had an experience with a while ago. You know, because birds get really stressed out really easily, and so they kind of have to be so close and be in like in a dark space. So that's what I did, is I put her in my shirt and I just held her there and just gave her healing the whole time I was holding her. I was fixing the cage. And I was so stressed out. I was so worried about her because I felt like she was going to die from the stress because the hawk ended up dying from the stress. And so she amazed me how strong she, like, is. And it's weird because when I first got her, I loved her energy. There was something about her I couldn't explain. That's the only reason I said let's take her, was because I felt a very strong connection to her. And Eli did too, and she was being picked on by all the other birds. So that's why we decided to take her, and then I just felt awful that happened to her. I need to get a stronger cage.
She loves you and Eli, and I see that she would be like in the higher dimensions, we often have like birds and butterflies flying around our heads, and there's a soul connection with you, and also that there was a desire to go and experience relationships with you in other situations. But she's been saying, you know, we have instincts, we have bird instincts, and for example, when we're frightened, our only defense, you know, is our beak snaps. So when as soon as they get frightened, very often they start snapping with their beak starts snapping, which is how come you both got a peck. And then when we go in the dark, it actually triggers the sleep reflex in the brain, which does calm us down very quickly.
Yeah,
but she seems fine. She's not, you know, she's not living in fear of this happening again. She actually trusts you so much that she feels like you'll make sure it doesn't happen again, but if anything ever does happen, that you'll rescue her.
Yeah, and I'm definitely going to work on getting her a stronger cage, even if it's one that's closer to the floor, because that one I just feel is kind of flimsy, and that's why it broke. You know, but I think she likes being up high anyways. I think she likes being way up there, you know, hanging from the ceiling.
Yes, and she doesn't seem to have a strong need for other birds, actually. She's more attuned to you and Eli. Eli's Rhea's son. She's more attuned to you. And she seems like you are her tribe, you are her flock. So she's not even calling out for another bird, particularly. I found that with some domestic animals, people will say, oh, you've got to get two, but it depends on the animal. They're just like us. You know, some people need a lot of company and other people need a lot of solitude. You know, it's a matter of the individual, what the individual needs. She seems to need you guys and be really enjoying to be with you guys. And she actually feels very safe anyway, because I'm of the higher dimensions where there are no predators, no predation. And she has been like a cockatoo in, looks like the South American rainforest. Cockatoos are really intelligent birds. I've only had contact with one or two of them, but the one I had contact with specifically was really a starseed. You know, it was like a master. But I've seen them. If you go on YouTube, there are some amazing cockatoos. And every one of them is like really, really, really intelligent. And they feel human. You know, if they live with you, they feel human, and they talk with speech just like you do. Now, with a parakeet, they probably don't have the speech thing so developed. With a cockatoo, they don't imitate human speech. They imitate the sound of it like very small children, but they're not speaking the English language, but you can actually, if you listen carefully, you can understand exactly what they're saying anyway, because they imitate human speech rhythms and so on. So as far as they're concerned, they're actually talking to you just like you talk to them. But they are super intelligent. Well, having been a cockatoo, she's saying, yes, I'm a big thing in a small package.
Yeah, she's smart, because, I mean, she went right. I think it only took a little bit before she was on Eli's finger, like after we first got her. And to me, that was amazing, because I've had parakeets before that didn't do that and didn't act that way. She's very different than most parakeets I've seen. She's pretty calm, you know. She's pretty calm than the parakeets, and she does seem more attuned to humans than, I guess, birds.
Well, yes. She's saying, I'm a special animal that comes from your soul. She's one of your soul children. And you and Eli, you know, have a very strong soul connection, and she's part of your soul family in some way. I feel like this is a soul you created. We can create souls that manifest in the earth plane as animals, just as God also does it. Not all souls of the same species actually come from the same place exactly, or rather come into being by the same process, and she's a soul. So long as you guys are there, or one of you is there, she's very strongly a part of your family. And even when you're out and I'm alone, I still feel our connection. I still feel connected. I know you'll come home. I like it best when you're here, though. And she may sit on your shoulder and snuggle up to you or do that with Eli quite a bit.
Yeah, and it was weird because usually I used to be kind of afraid of birds, like picking them up and stuff like that, because I never really had a lot of experience with them. But her, it was just an instinct, and I wasn't afraid of her at all. And that makes sense as to why I felt the way I did when I first saw her. It was like an immediate recognition, I guess. And I could feel, I don't know, I just loved her energy. And so I said, okay, Eli. You know, I wasn't much in love with her as he was. So it was one of those things where I could say no. It was like I guess another meant to be thing. But does she want me to take the shirt up more on the cage, or does she like it halfway down like that? I pull it over at night now so she can sleep without anybody staring at her. But does she like it up? Or should I, does she like it halfway up during the day, or should I take it all the way up during the day, or what is she comfortable with now?
Well, we birds like to go with the planet, so after it gets dark, she helps me to sleep when the sun goes, when it's nighttime. In the daytime, she quite likes to have a little bit of a place where she can kind of go for privacy. So it's like she likes the shirt hanging a bit of the way down so she can go into a place where she's not so visible to the other animals. I find that with a lot of animals that are kept in, you say, cages or pens or enclosures, they like to have a place they can withdraw into, like a place that they're not visible, and then they're quite happy to have a place where they come out and they can interact with everything that's going on around them. I find most animals like that. You know, like fish, I wouldn't keep a fish without giving it stones and so on to hide behind. Mm-hmm. My mother always said, you know, fish can't close their eyes, so they need a place that's darker to go where they can rest their eyes. You know, some animals like to have a hidey place, and I think given the world we live in, you know, they're more at home in an environment where there is a hidey place for them.
Yeah, and plus it seems that Onyx doesn't really pay as much attention to her when it's covered up, when she's covered up at night.
No, because cats are very triggered by sight. Cats have good sight, and their hunting instinct is very hooked up to the visual. So with a cat, it's very often out of sight, out of mind. There's always something that triggers the hunting instinct in a cat. You know, it's like a sight or a sound. So they don't get a lot of a trigger if they can't see the bird.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's nice to give a bird the choice between visibility and being hidden. And you know, animals need their autonomy too, and they need it very much. So respecting their sort of natural environmental conditions is pretty helpful to them. You know, like for chickens, they like to have a hen house and then a place they can run. You know, and chickens can run around your house if it's safe. I mean, they can run around your land if it's safe for them, but otherwise, you know, they're very happy in a coop that has an outside and an inside space. Then they can, you know, do what we like to do. They can rest and be active in turns.
Okay. All right. So then that was a good idea to do that, and I'll just pull it down at night and pull it up halfway during the day.
Now, do you have a light coloured shirt hanging?
It's green. I
Yeah,
told you I just
if
go
you
get
can
a
ever
shirt.
find, if you can ever find a bit of dark blue to black cloth, that's even better because it mimics the night sky more strongly.
Yeah, it was dark green, and we were kind of in a, I just told Eli, you know, go get a shirt, we'll put it over the cage, so that's the shirt he brought me. So,
And dark green is not a bad colour, actually. It's a very calming colour, and when you think of birds hiding out in the forest and the trees, often their rest colour would be a dark green type of colour. But either that or the green is pretty good. If you can even find a square of dark cloth to actually place over the green or tack onto the green in some place so there's an actual sort of nighttime spot in terms of the light, that's quite good too, because then she can sort of have a sleep even in the daytime. But it's not essential. She's doing quite well with the she's chattering like she's being cross with the dogs and the cats, like. But the main thing is that you guys can't see me, and then she's laughing at them because she feels that when they can't see her, you know, when she can't see them, she feels they can't see her. Like it's a disappearing act, and like as far as they're concerned, when they can't see me, I'm not really there.
Yeah.
And she likes that. She doesn't want to have to think about you guys all the time. And that doesn't mean you, the humans. It means the ones that were chasing her.
Yeah.
Animals. Is there anything else that you would like to ask Spirit before we finish this little reading?
Is she happy in the cage she's in, or should I focus on maybe getting her a little bit of a bigger cage? I kind of want to get her a more sturdy cage anyways, just in case, so it doesn't fall apart when that happens.
Yeah, she's perfectly happy in the cage you've got, but so a bit more space would also be very nice. But I think you do let her out, don't you, sometimes?
No, I haven't let her out because she's not trained enough to come back to her cage. I'm not really sure. Plus, right now she can't fly. She cannot fly at all.
No, well, maybe letting her out is something for later on that you can try later on. But, you know, I see a nice sturdy cage that's a little bigger than the cage she's got, that it doesn't have to be hanging from the ceiling, maybe. She would like that. And she would like a nesting box in it that, you know, like a little cardboard box she could tack on with a perch inside the box. So she can kind of roost in a little house type of thing. That would be really nice, but she's not really thinking about it because she hasn't had that experience. When she gets it, she'll really like it. But she thinks her cage is pretty great.
Okay. All right. Well, good. Because I know there's a big cage for like $20, which is really cheap because it's a really $200 cage, but it's more like for parrots, and I know it stands up like on the wheels, so it should be closer to the ground, which I really don't like. But so should I try to get her a cage that I can hang instead of that one?
No, you don't need to. I mean, the cage you just described would be really good, so long as the spaces are small enough that she can't get out, and it looks like it is quite small. She knows. They're not stupid. She knows that the cats can't get in through the cage. She figures that out really fast, and it's sturdy enough that you can put a little like nesting box thing in where she, not as little as one of those tiny ones, you know, but you can do it with a cardboard box if you don't have a wooden one. Just a little box that has a perch in that she can pop in and out of a hole. Because when she goes in that box, she feels like animals can't find her.
Yeah.
But they get very fast that you can't come past the barrier. They understand that very fast.
Okay. So as long as I have to recheck out the cage if they still have it, but as long as the cages aren't big enough to where she can get out, you know, the space between the cages, I have to check that. Yeah. You know, we'll just have to see. I have to recheck it out and see. But I had eventually wanted to get her bigger cage anyways because that cage is kind of small, and I was thinking about a nesting box too. So maybe I'm picking up on that stuff that she might want in the future.
Yeah, she would love that, but she's not yearning for it because she hasn't any idea that she could have that. She's very happy, but I can get from her higher level, her higher self level, yes, it would be nice to stretch my wings and fly more.
Okay, so then her tail feathers are going to grow back, right? I feel so bad. She looks so weird without her tail feathers.
Yeah, after my next molt, their tail feathers grow seasonally. So when it's a time where they molt, that's where she would actually have lost those tail feathers, and then the new ones can come in. They can't come back. They don't usually come back until the molt. Well, sometimes they do. It depends on species, and I'm not that species smart, but she will be getting her tail back, don't worry. Bird feathers don't last their whole life. They all fall out. They all shed and replace. So, you know, it's just something that their skin does. It grows new feathers.
I'm glad that's all that happened to her, because if they would have got a hold of her, you know, it would have been a lot worse. So at least I feel like she was definitely protected and all that. And she fought, you know, she was very strong. She is very strong. So.
Well, fortunately, in her past experiences, I don't see her having ever been predated on. Like, she's never been killed by another animal or another bird. I've never been dinner. So she's not got fear in her system. You know, when you have fear from past trauma that's unhealed and the similar thing happens again, a thing that reminds you of that past trauma happens, it's very impacting. But since she'd never been predated on before, even when it was going on, she wasn't expecting to be eaten or anything.
Okay, that makes sense.
And that makes all the difference.
Yeah, because she's acting normal now, so thank God. But, okay.
Yeah, she just says that was a kerfuffle every time you mention the event. She's like, yes, that was a kerfuffle, that was a kerfuffle. Even when it was going on, she didn't experience intense fear. Yes, she experienced some fear, but she wasn't being re-traumatized from a past event. And this is where fear can really get a hold of you usually.
Mhm.
In my experience as a therapist healer. So anyway, you know, admittedly at this time we're all healing so much stuff from the past that maybe that's why that comes up. But it's very interesting to see how it works energetically and psychologically, emotionally in that way, to see into those areas, because, you know, another bird may have reacted absolutely differently. But I've also noticed birds are very robust. There was a rooster that used to perch outside my house on the fencing on the deck, and his, you know, coyote he had the most beautiful tail. He was jet black, and one day there he was without his tail. It was like a coyote must have grabbed his tail and he flew off. But sadly, a few days later, he was roosting in exactly the same place. And just at twilight, before I came and put him in the hen house, he disappeared. So the same coyote knew to come back, but he roosted in the same place. You know, so the coyote found him really easily. But it wasn't like you know, having been nearly caught, he didn't go into a lot of fear and start hiding himself. He just roosted, he kept on roosting in the same place, and he was not left out after dark, but he was not put away before it started to get dark, which was my mistake. But, you know, again, I'm not the master of having all these things happen, so, you know, I wouldn't allow that again. I would put a rooster away before it really started to get dark, because the coyotes are cunning and hungry. But yeah, he roosted in exactly the same place. He still felt safe.
Yeah. Well, crap.
Okay, does that do it for you, do you think?
Yes, thank you very much. That's what I
Well,
needed to know.
thank you for letting me share your delightful animals with you and the world.
Thank you. Appreciate it.